Hey guys, how's it going? In case you didn't know, I am Alice, and today I'm bringing you the first episode of a possible podcast that I'll be starting. It's called HighViz. It's a visual podcast that brings attention to some people and problems that I think you guys will be interested in the world of today. The first episode is with DJ Eoin Lyons, and we discussed nightlife in Dublin and the closure of various nightclubs. Do let me know what you think, because if you like it, I'll keep it up, and if you're not that interested, then I won't. But yes, for now, enjoy the first episode and don't forget to let me know what you think. Okay, so I'm with Eoin, DJ from Lost. How are you?
Very good, man. Thanks a million.
Yeah, no worries. So basically the reason why I wanted to do this was I wanted to get your perspective on why you think nightclubs might be shutting down in Dublin. Obviously, places like Hangar in District 8 were a big loss for a lot of people.
Yep.
And recently, Wrights has gone and Coppers has just been put up for sale as well. Yeah, so I read an article, I think it was the Irish Times, I don't know if you read it, it was like Murder of the Dance Floor. Yeah, and before I get into the kind of things that I read about like their reasons for why places might be closing, do you have any starting off why you think?
I wouldn't go as far as to say the government hates dance music, but that's what it kind of feels like. I feel like the government have a very backwards kind of vision of what Irish culture is in 2019, and I feel like our generation coming up, they just kind of ignore the way we like to enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't speak for everyone, but I feel like the majority of my peers in college enjoy going on nights out and enjoy listening to good music, and I just don't think that's recognised, and just not enough emphasis is put on like an actual quality Irish nightlife, other than just the same old crap of going out and drinking and all that. Like, you know, I just think that's just like paints the whole perception of young people going out in Ireland these days, which it just isn't true in my opinion.
Now, I don't want to be like controversial with this or whatever, but I feel like places like Hangar and District 8 and maybe, I don't know, techno music or dance music, whatever, can like be associated with like drug taking and raves and stuff. Do you think that has anything to do with places closing down?
Absolutely. Like, there's no denying that they go hand in hand. Like, and I suppose like whether you like it or not, there's always going to be one with the other. Yes, I do think that has a big part to play in it, and especially when it comes to the more senior politicians that run the country at the moment. I feel like the fact that drugs are so heavily involved in the whole underground scene at the moment, and always have been, is a big part of the reason why literally no time or consideration is given to any of the laws surrounding nightlife in Ireland.
Why do you think that's in Ireland? Like, other European countries, like, handle things like that so much better. Like,
it's hard to know. Like, I mean, you go to like the likes of, okay, we say Berlin is probably the most obvious example. I feel like their nightlife culture is a huge part of the Berlin culture as a whole, and maybe even German culture, and like it's the exact same thing when you go to London, Glasgow, all these places that have like absolute booming nightlife, and especially their underground scenes. They're just like so there's just so much going on in them, and I suppose lots of people have a big interest in it, and I just think probably the scene isn't as big as it could be in Ireland, but we're just being restricted by laws that weren't put in place because it's not always been part of Irish culture or part of young people in Ireland's culture to be into the music and all that kind of thing. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
well, yeah. Okay, I don't want to sound stupid, but when you're saying underground, like,
yeah, so
like the underground scene, is that like?
I don't know if I'm even right in saying underground. What I mean by underground is just stuff that's not
mainstream
and commercial, I suppose.
Okay.
And so like an underground night for me is a night where I'll go with my friends and listen to really good music that I probably even haven't heard before.
Okay.
In comparison to going to McGowan's or wherever on a Thursday night where the main purpose is going out and just getting drunk, like, which is I feel like that's what everybody thinks. My generation going out, that's all we like to do, which just isn't the case. Like,
is it disheartening for you that places like McGowan's, not that there's anything wrong with that, but like places that have just kind of the mainstream, like what everyone knows, is it disheartening that those kind of places do well, and then places where maybe you would fit in with your kind of music and like DJing there as well, like those kind of places are going?
I've nothing against any of that, but I do feel like a lot of the people that go, again, without sounding too commercial, I feel like they are kind of just following the crowd, and a lot of our generation as well kind of struggle to kind of tease out what they actually enjoy themselves. And I feel like as a result of that, just like excessive drinking and all that just like kind of feeds into this big mess that just paints the whole thing with the same colour. And like whether that's a whole, like that could be a host of different reasons, like whether it's like just fitting in with whatever was the norm in secondary school or whatever groups you fall in with in college. I don't know, like I've nothing against it, but I do feel like that kind of commercial mainstream going out culture and underground culture are confused and kind of put together a lot of the time, and treated the same way, which isn't fair, I don't think. Like a major argument of the government is that why would they extend opening hours of nightclubs and stuff when we've got like, we'd say 2 o'clock, 2:30 in like busy parts of Dublin city at night. You see like loads of people stumbling around the streets. Streets are really messy and stuff like that. But I do think that's like a conflict of, again, the two, like they're two completely different things. I think you're kind of seeing people spill out of coppers and stuff like that, fair enough, but the same wouldn't be said for like we would say maybe a different venue where maybe if they extended opening hours, people would go home when they please instead of being thrown out of a club. Like,
yeah, you know? That's true. One of the things that was in the article was like about how nightclubs and late bars like both kind of have the same closing hours here, and that like there wasn't really a like there was nothing like
it's hard to
defining. But as well, they said that people were going more to like late bars rather than like nightclubs because people just want that kind of social aspect rather than people don't want to dance anymore. Do you think that that's true?
Again, like I think that's very generalistic.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it very much depends on what group of people you're asking. My friends, that's certainly not the case. But like even myself, like I enjoy going out and just dancing for a night, but I also enjoy going out and having chats with my friends. But I'll certainly pick the location we go based on what kind of night out I want to go to.
Exactly,
like, you know, like, so I really don't think like even bringing up something like that in the article was in any way irrelevant. Like I do think like there's a lot of stuff thrown around that realistically isn't going to make any difference to the argument whatsoever, and I think like the wrong things are being looked at a lot of the time and being argued, which is kind of frustrating for people who actually want to see change, because when all that's been thrown around, like nothing's actually been done to work at the things we actually need to talk about and we actually need to change. Like, you know.
So you're a DJ with Lost.
Yeah.
So how did that start, and like what, like maybe explain like what kind of nights you guys do? Yeah,
so Lost actually started as it had a different name. It used to be called Lost in Leitrim, whereas where I'm from.
Okay.
And it was a club night I set up at home because all we had at home was just mainstream kind of late bars and clubs and stuff like that that would just play the same music every single week, week in, week out. And there was a small group of people, maybe of about 50 to 100 of the whole area surrounding Carrick, where I'm from, that I knew would be interested in this kind of music.
Yeah.
So I started it, and it took off, and like we'd 4 or 5 nights down in Leitrim over the course of about half a year, I think.
Yeah.
And it did really well. But then when I came to college in Dublin, I kind of wanted to bring it up here, but I was very much a small fish in a big pond coming up, and didn't really get it going until this year again, and we changed obviously the name from Lost in Leitrim to just Lost, and I'd made a few mates through the DJ Society here in college, and that I just thought could add to the night and add to what the brand is about, like. So I brought them on, and just ever since, we'll say, September of last year, we've just been plugging away now at the Dublin scene, just trying to I suppose get exposure for ourselves as DJs, but also kind of make the kind of night that we'd want to go to ourselves, like, you know, which is really fun to do, like, because you get such it's really fun just running nights for your friends to come to, and then afterwards, in the days after, talking to your friends about what was good and what was bad, and then changing those. It's cool because there's no pressure on us really to run an event to pull in a big crowd, because we're more, me personally anyway, I'm much more fond of smaller intimate venues, we'll say of like capacity max like 200, which if you're doing your promo right and stuff like that shouldn't be incredibly hard to do. So like that's a pressure that we don't have to have, and then time spent, or that we don't waste on those kind of pressures, then is spent on kind of cool productions and stuff like that. So I suppose that's what it's about really. I suppose just being a bit different to everybody else that's doing it.
I didn't know that you'd set that up. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's I suppose I could be proud of it in a way. It, like, I used to run it with a nightclub at home, 360 in Carrick-on-Shannon, and they used to fund kind of bringing acts in and stuff like that. So it was really good. I got such good experience doing all that with them, and then obviously moving to Dublin, it was completely funded by ourselves. So I've kind of got a different taste of it now, kind of running nights to make profit, to kind of reinvest and stuff. So it's cool. Yeah,
it's class. Do you I kind of thought that maybe like people would prefer to have a venue that they go to, and they're like a hangar or whatever that they go to, and they're like, this is where I go for my nights out, this is where I go for the music I want to listen to. But by the sounds of it, you kind of prefer to be in like a collective and go to different places, or is that wrong?
Yeah, so I suppose this kind of all ties back around to what we started talking about. Like the reason we've run events all over the place and we haven't just stuck to one venue is because there's such a shortage, we feel, of venues for people to actually, and especially student population, that would be like commuting to and from Dublin every week, and that aren't based in Dublin and don't know the city very well. I feel like they only know a certain amount of venues that they could go to on a weekly basis. So like, I suppose any venue we've done it in is a venue that the majority of students haven't heard of. And I suppose it's just kind of introducing them to new places that they could go to that run cool events themselves and stuff like that. That's the whole idea behind that, really, I suppose.
Do you think that that's probably the route a lot of people are going to go down? Like, they're going to start having, like, I don't know, like collectives and like club nights. Like, I know that there's so many out there already, like Toast and like Skint and all these kind of things. Do you think that that's kind of the route to go, or?
I think it's more a case of making do with what you have. And I suppose in Dublin at the moment, there's no big venues in the city centre bar the Button Factory. And having said that, like, the Button Factory is like so big that it's nearly too daunting for the likes of a collective like us to come in and book, because just like the pressure of trying to fill a venue like that would be too much for us, I think. And because there's no big venues and there's nearly an abundance of smaller venues that haven't really run anything like it before, but have so much potential there. Like, that's especially what we're looking for. Like, obviously you've got the places like the St. William and Berlin D2 and Wigwam and all them that are obviously iconic places that'll never change. But I suppose because we're only left with those big names, we want to kind of just expand out a bit more and show people new places. Because, like, I agree, if you talk to any other student in any other part of the world, chances are they go to the same place on a night out because that fits whatever vibe it is they're pushing, and they enjoy their nights out there with their friends. But it's just hard to do that, like, in Dublin, because in first and second year I was in Hangar every single week, and now Hangar's gone, and you have to kind of find a replacement for that, and it's not easy, because a place like Hangar just has so much like unique character, had so much unique character and stuff.
R.I.P.
And the same with District 8 and stuff like that, like, so I suppose you just need to, I mean, if you want to hear the music and you want to run the kind of nights you want to be going to, then you just have to make do with what you have.
There was another thing in the article that said like the reason for like nightclubs not being as popular anymore was because of like Tinder and stuff, that people don't go out to meet people anymore.
I'd imagine that's true, again, with the likes of Coppers and Harcourt Street locations, we'll say, where people are going out to meet people, and like, I suppose there probably is a bit of that goes on as well at House and Techno nights, but I feel like a lot of the people are there to see maybe a DJ that's been booked, or to go see a collective that are running nights that they think are pretty cool themselves, rather than, I don't think that's a huge factor in dance music anyway.
I didn't really think about that. Like, I don't know, I didn't really agree with that much. Yeah,
like, one thing I find issue with is that when stuff like this is documented and written about in national newspapers and stuff like that, like points like that are just completely irrelevant to what we're really talking about here. Like, Hangar in District 8 closing down is completely different to like Coppers being sold, because they're pushing two completely different agendas there. So I don't know how we could go about fixing that either. Maybe putting the right journalists,
that's what I was going to say, like,
that'll actually give the proper story and push it the way we want to. But like, as much as so many people are in the last few months in particular pushing the whole campaign, the Give Us the Night campaign, to extend opening hours and stuff like that, it really just, it doesn't seem to be being well received at all at the top.
Do you think that because Irish people have such a reputation of being like drunks and stuff like that, they're kind of reluctant in that way to fuel the nightlife even more?
I'd imagine so. But I mean, like, one thing that confuses me is why, like, both sides of scenarios aren't really looked at in this. It's like, okay, so Irish are drunkards, so we can't extend the opening hours because it just means they'll have longer access to alcohol at night. But like, there's other ways around that. We aren't looking for people or venues to stay open and sell drink all night. Like, we're just looking for venues to stay open. So like, if you kept the law the same, where you can't sell drink past 2 o'clock, but kept the venue open for 3 or 4 hours after that, like, I think like the whole goal would be achieved. Now, I know there's obviously, like, whether it's worth a venue's while or not opening up like that, but I just feel like, because there's no such thing as that in Ireland at the moment, I think that if there was, the appetite for it would be huge. I don't know, it's hard to even imagine it because it's never been, but you can dream, I suppose.
Do you think there's a future for Irish DJs here?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think in the last few years there's been, like, it's gotten so popular, the whole scene, and the whole like, young lads in Ireland realising that becoming a DJ from Ireland isn't as difficult as they may have thought. And I feel like there's so much talent coming from Ireland at the moment that it'd be hard to say that the way the whole nightclub thing is going at the moment, that it would put a damper on that, because I don't think that's the case. I think like, our festival scene and everything is still pretty impressive in comparison to other countries. So there's other things that drive young DJs, I suppose, not just that.
The music scene in Ireland in general at the moment is really kind of on the rise, I feel like.
A lot of across a load of genres, even with, like, soft boy and all that, like, and you know, like, it's really impressive, and it's really cool to be part of, or to be at this age coming up when all of that's going on as well. It
seems like it's quite a tight-knit sort of community, like, a lot of people know everyone, and it's very, like, supportive.
Definitely, definitely. And it's cool as well. Like, I know when we were starting our first few Lost events in Dublin, we just got massive help from just friends that we've met when we're out dancing, or friends that we've met at gigs or whatever, and they just like, obviously social media is our best friend, and just sharing it around and stuff, and I don't get a sense of like major competition between collectives in Dublin, which you'd imagine there would be, because there's so many at the moment. But in my experience anyway, I've never had bad experiences with any other collectives or anything like that. So yeah, I feel like it's a healthy situation at the moment.
Yeah, that's good. I think we've talked a lot negatively about nightlife here, but do you want to finish by maybe saying some of the places you do like, or venues that you think are good, nights that you think are good in Dublin for techno or house?
Oh, absolutely. Like I feel with Hangar gone now in the city centre, I feel like people should definitely go and check out Index on the Quays, because it's just such a cool venue, and it's I won't say the same as Hangar, because it's absolutely not, but it's as close to what Hangar is, and has its own identity as well. It's a much smaller club and a lot more intimate, and the bookings they've got recently for techno in particular have just been unbelievable. I saw DJ Stingray there recently, and just it was a really, really cool gig. And then obviously all the small collectives coming up, like they seem to be getting great support at the moment, and just making sure that stays going is hugely important for 10 years time, like when we'll be the older heads in the scene and driving it on. So yeah, just I suppose if everyone could keep supporting small collectives, you never know what could happen. It could we could see something great happening in the next few years.
Very true. Okay, I think that's all we have to talk about, unless there's anything you want to add at the end.
No, that's good. I hope I've answered
all
your
you
questions,
have.
Ari.
Yeah, thanks very much for coming on, and everyone go to Lost.
Yes, please do.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much.